afternoon. We're just starting a YouTube video called Just Enough Garage. Just enough time, just enough patience. Anyways, I have about 4 or 5 cars back here that I've been working on for a while, and I wanted to show you guys. So come on, we'll go back to the shop. I've got a little pathway here, kind of a little garden area. This Suburban, let's talk about this Suburban. 1964 Chevy Suburban. I got it out of the weeds March, I believe. I've since put a little 283 in it, a 5-speed transmission. Now the S10 did the conversion. We're working on seats next. I've got the brakes fixed. I got tires on it. It needs a lot of things. This would be like the second rat rod I'm building. I have another one in the shop. I've got some other cars here that we can go over. You guys want to come up front? This is what I've gotten. It's a 1966, 67, 283. It was originally the blue color that Chevy had. Aluminum radiator. It runs. It needs exhaust. It's coming along very nicely. You don't see these Suburbans very much anymore. And I wanted to do one. I'm going to cut the springs on it and, you know, hopefully get it going. The reason I'm starting this YouTube channel is my kids are adults now. In fact, my daughter Marianne is doing the filming. I have a son who's 19, and they always say, Dad, let's finish these. Let's finish these. Well, I work a lot. And so we've got some of these projects that have been, you know, a couple of years. And I'll show you all of them, and then you guys can decide which one to work. But definitely the Suburban's going to get going. Vision for a guy who was restoring a 70s Z car, and he wanted the 5-speed. For fun, I paid $300 for an International Scout frame, 78 model. It's got disc brakes, Dana 44s front and rear. And we put the body on it. We're going to use it as a gambler car. COVID hit. We never got that far. That's T-tops. For you guys out there who say, oh, you ruined the Z car. Okay, maybe I did, but it was already going to the scrapper. It's rusted out way bad under the hood. Where the battery is on these, destroyed. So I needed a frame under it just to be structural. This is kind of the backest burner of my life right now. I would probably sell this one just to get my yard back. Time is an issue. Let's take a walk through this junk pile of my backyard. I got a 53 Ford. It was originally a flathead. That's long gone. I actually paid money for that one. And I put it on an 86 Ford F-150 frame. All these frames you have to shorten. 4-speed, 306. The 6 is put together. It runs. It's supposed to run. We had got it set, and that was about it. So let's, again, it was a gambler car. I never finished. COVID hit. So this is kind of an important one to my daughter. She wants to finish it. The Z car was just, 53 Ford. It's rusty. I mean, it has no floors. It's junk. I got it from a guy down by Seattle. I paid $500 for it. You know, my dad had a 53 Ford in high school. He always talked about how great they were. This one is not great. The glass is tinted. It did have air conditioning and an add-on. It does have these California weird bumpers added to the front, so it made a good four-wheel drive. I just need to finish it, and I just did frame over frame, which isn't the best, but it gives you a lot of lift without a lot of struggle. This little area here by the car, I have some Brat parts. I have a Subaru Brat. I'll show you later. I've got some old 6-cylinder pieces here that came out of the Subaru that's kind of spendy. Washington State, Northwest. So I bought this 10 years ago, this house and property, and, you know, it's been great. We fixed up all the kids' cars with it. All my children have learned to use the shop. I don't necessarily bar them from using my tools. I always just say, hey, put them back when you're done. So let's talk about this. I've got a Korean era 1951 through 53 M38. You Jeep guys, Willys was still making these. You Jeep guys will know that you got your GPWs, you got your Fords, you got all those early Jeeps from World War II. This is the next generation. This was modified when I got it sometime in the 90s. Somebody not too far from here put a small block Chevy in it, roll caged it. It is what it is. It's running a small block Chevy currently that's fuel injected with a 4-speed a Ford T18. You got to modify the front, and then it'll bolt to the Shelby bell housing. This is something that I've had for a number of years. It wheels like crazy. It's locked up front and rear. I got winches at both ends. I just don't use it as much as I would hope to. One of the projects on this is I do have an original Warren overdrive that was made in Seattle. I need to change the transfer case because there's an earlier and a later transfer case, and I have both, and this is the wrong one currently in it. And then we can put an overdrive in this one. You guys want to keep coming in through here. Again, sorry, don't judge me for my who I am. I got another Willys. This is a rat rod that I built probably 8 or 9 years ago. It's a 53 Willys pickup. I got it from a guy off an island out here in the San Juans. You'll notice the cab's pretty rusty. It's pretty hammered, but that little 283 was in it when I bought it. It was a 2-wheel drive truck that they'd used on an island. I took it home, tried to repair the frame. Ended up saying, hey, it looks better lower, so I put an F1 front end under it. I converted to front disc brakes, sprint car headers. The engine's basically stock. And then I've added junk to it. This one has been licensed and insured both of these Jeeps are licensed and insured, and I drive them quite regularly. However, this summer's been kind of getting away from me. So under the tarp is a car I bought just out of high school. We'll uncover it and take it for a ride one of these days. It's a 1982 Mercury Capri RS, which was Ford's Mercury. You had Ford, Mercury, Lincoln. Mercury's the middle of the ground. These Capri RSs were a little bit higher end package on the trim, the fender treatment. This was a high output 5-liter with a 4-speed. They had a weird gear ratio of a 2-to-1, somewhere in that neighborhood. So they run super fast. It's based on the Fox body, but it's not, but it is. And you Ford guys would know what I'm talking about. It's a T-top car. It's red and white. I'll unbury the crap if you guys are interested in seeing it. And then on this side of the shop is kind of a long-term storage project. In the back corner, I have a Jeep trailer that matches the Jeep. We used it to go camping. Everything in here is just full of crap. The 48 Ford pickup belonged to my little brother. He bought it in 1993 or 4. By July of 1994, he was killed in a head-on collision. It wasn't his fault. Somebody fell asleep at the wheel. And he happened to be driving a 68 El Camino. Anyways, the Ford pickup became available. I've stored it all these years in various places, and I would love to do something with it. So I had stored the truck for a number of years through movements, and the kids haven't really seen it ever run or drive. It used to run. Unfortunately, in one of the areas I had stored it, a water creeped up from the bottom and rusted the number 5 cylinder pretty bad. I had taken the head off, discovered it. My son and I worked on it a few months ago and said, well, it needs everything. So that's where we're at. Otherwise, it's just some quads, dirt bikes, motorhomes, crap like that I've collected. This shop has probably seen 30 cars in it in the years that I've lived here. Ski boats, different Jeeps. At one point, I had 3 CJ5s back here. I've always been interested in stuff like that. And the reason I wanted to do this YouTube thing was simple motivation. I think that you guys appreciate stuff like this. I just turned 50 a few months ago. And I'm at the point in my life where I need to finish this junk or pass it on to somebody else. So as the video series comes along, there's some potential that I might let some of these go. So if you guys show interest in that, that's fine. But really, I'm hoping to be able to educate some of the viewers on, how point system work, how some simple fuel injection systems work, how brakes work. I'm not a mechanic by trade. For years, I've done heavy industrial work, refinery work mostly, construction and industrial and residential. And it's done all right. I've learned some things. I still got all my fingers and my eyes, so that's a challenge. Anyways, like I say, I'm trying to get this going just to see what happens. If I can get some motivation and you guys can see how the projects come. Just for information, that rat rod I built even before Vegas rat rods got popular, and those guys do a fabulous job. I think it's a little commercialized. But if you have a truck or a vehicle, car, whatever, and it's not prime, Just make it a rat rod. I said to my kids, all my stuff turns into rat rods eventually. It's easy to do. It's fun to do. It's creative to do. There's no wrong way of doing it. They put a smile on your face wherever you go when you're driving them. 3 things happen, and I'm sure it's the same with the viewers here. People love it for art. That's the number one person. They'll just take a picture and they'll leave with a smile. The 2 is the you should haves. The you should haves people. You should have done this. You should have done that. Okay, well, do that with your own rat rod. Be your own person. And then there's the 3, the third person, just the haters, the people who say it's ugly, they shouldn't be on the road. And, don't go through life like that. If you see a rat rod around, and it may not even be your flavor, the vehicle is out doing something again. It is out living a life, and it is evolved. And if you take a few minutes to look at them, rat rods are a piece of art. Everything on them has something to do with something. And Mariana showed you in the back all the junk on the back. And these are old tools that I've collected. Some belong to my grandfather. Some were yard sales. Anyways, we'll get that out and we'll take it for a ride here. And hopefully in the next video or 2, we'll get the Suburban going. We get the rat rod out. We'll uncover the Capri. It's summer right now in the Northwest. You can go show him rolling. We got a little dog, and he loves to chew water bottles. Today we're going to get the seats going on this Suburban there. I went to the junkyard. I bought these 2 seats out of a Subaru. Oh, it must have been a Forester, I'm thinking. They're just gray seats. I liked them because they didn't have a lot of electronic in them. They have some airbags in the side, but I'm not going to wire that. But they're a mechanical seat. Anyways, I've been working outside because I don't like spraying the sparks and the welding. I have to add some brackets to this. So let's get this cleaned up first. I don't know how many of you guys have crap like this laying around, but some of this is gasoline, some of it's antifreeze, some of it's oil. I have a tendency, I think, just to put it down and go in and go to bed and get up at 4 in the morning for the job. So sometimes my cleanliness lacks, and I'm hoping the videos will motivate me, and it'll hopefully motivate you guys to get out and do your garages, your shops. This is the first shop I've ever had, and every time I end up working outside, just because I find that it's, a little sunshine's good for the soul, so to speak. But then I don't feel bad about having the spark spray on. You need 2 buildings, a storage building and a working building, and I'm trying to do both here. And my access to this is kind of cluttered the way the driveway is. It's a city lot. There's not a lot of opportunity to widen it. So anyways, let me clean this off and I'll get right back. 1986. A lot of people under the impression that these all came with jump seats. They didn't. In the back, if it had a jump seat, it had a different roll bar, had a different headrest. There was holes down here on these pads that would be drilled and tapped. There would have been seat belt locations. And on the side of the car right down there, in front of the wheel, there would have been a spot for your foot that said four-wheel drive. You could have put your foot into there. They all came 4-speed. This was, in 1987, was the last year of the Brat. Anyways, I thought you guys would be interested in seeing that since I had some Brat parts in the backyard. This one I drive quite regularly. And anyways, you got questions or you think you want to get one of these, good luck. The prices are going up. This one I did real well. I got it out of a guy's garage. He had stored it for 8 years. Like everything, kids, family, and a house payment came along and he needed to sell it, and I was able to get it. I do have a new windshield for it. I just haven't put it on yet. But anyways, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming. All right, welcome back. We got delayed. We had a few things to do. In fact, we got some Brat footage as we went for a drive. Anyways, earlier, I didn't say my name. I'm Darian. This is my son, John. Him and I and my daughter, Mary, on the camera are trying to get this thing going, and we've already did some cleaning around here, got rid of some trash, made a little area. For the first thing we want to do on these seats for this Suburban is, you'll notice I still have it jacked up because we were working on the clutch a while ago. And I wanted to show you guys this. I think it's called a Brishman manufacturing company made this. It's an airlift jack. You don't see them very often anymore. At least I haven't seen them very often. This one I know the history of a little bit. In 1989, my dad was working at a place, and I had a 59 Chevy Impala that we painted, and you'll still see the white paint on this because we had it lifted up when we did the paint on it. Later, that business got rid of all of its tools for new stuff, and this is one that was, well, basically it was going as a junk heap, and we were able to get it. It operates off compressed air. I'll show you how it works. There's a valve. You want to keep that closed, get it engaged. You give it air. It is fast. These arms are movable. It has a 4,000-pound capacity. So it's a bumper jack. So if you've got a steel bumper, good to go. If you've got a plastic bumper, then not so good to go. Let's do it again. So to release it, then it'll bleed off the air. Originally they had a foot switch. Oh, and this is the lock. I'll lift that, take that off. Let's just get this thing going here. These are adjustable, and I want to put them up on the upper side because it was hitting the hitch. I don't know if you guys saw. Gives it more stability. And then you always look to make sure you're happy with where it is. And then just gently apply the air pressure. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Suburbans, the C10 series. I know they're super popular right now, but they've got these really long trailing arms, coil springs. There it comes up. So they have a lot of it. I believe it's 4-point. Anyways, you want to look under, you see it's got these really long trailing arms. Stabilizer. Oh, I guess it's only 2-point. You got the long trailing arms. This had air shocks. I've never tried to put air in the sea. The GMC, the Chevy Suburban, and then the GMC Carryall, I believe all the GMCs used leaf springs where the Chevys used the coil springs, I think is the difference. The V6s that we hear about, those were GMC. The Chevy straight sixes, this one was a 292 straight six, 3-speed on the column. I've converted all that because the 3-speed didn't shift anymore. The 6-cylinder was totally junk. But anyways, we'll get this down to the ground so when we're mounting the seats, it's easier to get in and out. So let's, and then to lower it, it's pretty simple. Disconnect the air, lift the deal, and it gets where you down. Just get the hoses up again. Don't want to get down, you just put that right there. Out she comes. And then these arms fold back. And I'll take it around front and we'll lift it off. I haven't lowered the springs on this yet. I've just used a smaller profile tire. These are a 15-inch tire. So they say they're hard to get. Maybe they are. These were ones I happened to have had. So earlier I was talking about a rat rod being your own deal. Well, Chevy's kind of in my opinion, the easiest to get into because the stuff is pretty cheap, pretty affordable. I happen to have a lot of this junk laying around. The engine I'd had already, the transmission I'd had already. Don't want to use the word hoarder, but occasionally you pick up things or you get things when there's a good deal and you say, someday I'll use that. Well, apparently the someday is now, because otherwise I just got stuff. Maybe that's the definition between a hoarder and guys. If you never use it, then you're a hoarder. If you use it, then you were smart for getting it when you got it. Like I say, you see a lot of other guys doing YouTube channels, and a lot of the times they're buying stuff at auctions or sales or whatever, and you think, well, what are they ever going to do with that? Well, they don't know. But when they do find something, they're glad they have it. And like, let's say this little engine I've had for years. Over the winter, funny story, over the winter, we re-gasketed it and painted it. And I said to my son, John, I said, John, we need to find an old Suburban. I wanted a 62 because I like the elbow cut. Anyways, I said, we need to find a Suburban to put this in. And we happened to see this 64 in a field. In fact, John's got some pictures. We'll try to attach them. Shows it being in the field. The whole thing was full of blackberries. It had been off the road for 30 some years. And, you know, I'm not going to tell you that I paid very little for it, but I paid scrap value for it. I had to do some title work, which is, you know, it costs money and time. We got that all straightened out. And then, now we're in the middle of it. Anyways, that's a little air jack if you guys have never seen one of these. I know there's other varieties. It's kind of heavy. I'm obviously wearing sandals. Now we got the Suburban lowered. This is kind of its ride height. I wanted it lower so I get in and out, feel what the seat feels like when you get in and out of it. This is what I was talking about, the Subaru stuff. I'm just getting rid of it. I'm not going to have the side airbag. The seatbelt warning, I don't care about. Yes, I'm going to put a seatbelt in it. I always do new seatbelts. O'Reilly sells them. I don't care where you get them. If I get new seatbelts, you'll feel better about it. You know, these rat rods, these old trucks, there's a lot of work to put new floors in them, and frankly speaking, I'm not that skilled at it. So I don't drive them very fast. I don't go very far. If you were to be into a wreck in this thing, you're in trouble. So just be careful. But what you want to do when you're mounting your seat, I don't know, Mary, if you want to bring it in here, you can see that you want to get these both on the same tab, because when you lift this, one side you can move and match. Either you can count the numbers to get it square. Let's get it where I work on it here. So in this case, we'll get it down. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the gear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. What you want to make sure is when you go to mount these that you've got them situated so that it moves together. So we'll get this. Now this Suburban, let's go around back and I'll show you. The guy who owned this Suburban apparently had a band, so the guy told me, and he used to carry his instruments in it. It was in the 90s sometime. This homemade, it's kind of cool, it's kind of retro, it's a wooden deal. The rats had been in this thing. This thing was full of garbage. It was full of blackberries. The thing was a piece of crap. So I'm going to have to cut that out just because you can see the seat is interfering right now with where I want to place this. I don't have the back seat. I don't have the front seat. You can see that these were set up much like the pickup. The C10 had wood in the bed. This has plywood. This is all a wooden construction. The C series was two-wheel drive. The Ks were four-wheel drive. So if you ever go online and someone says they got a K10, that's a four-wheel drive. The C was two-wheel drive. Anyways, the reason I'm mentioning all this is I'm going to have to cut that out to get the seat mounted. And all I'm going to end up doing is putting carpet in here and probably hauling the dogs around back and forth and just cruising around my local town. At the end of the day, I'm not going to have a lot of money invested in this. And it should be all right. In fact, before we get too far, you can see that this is the original color, this copper. Somebody had painted this copper on here. 1990, they left their signature on the hood when they painted it. But I intend to pressure wash all that off, get back to the original color, and then paint the roof white, paint the bumpers white to match the wheels. That's kind of as far as I'm going to go with this one. Get more of the original color out. Obviously, someone destroyed the doors with speakers and a cutting torch. You look down in, not any of this is worth anything. The green metal, obviously, I put in there to patch the holes. So, yeah, it's a work in progress. So now that we get the seat in there, I'll have to cut that out. Before I do that, what you want to do is get somebody to look, say, well, what's comfortable for you? I feel like I'm setting too low and I'm setting too far back. When you close the door, that's not bad on my arm. But do I need to be, you want to be centered in the window. And that's all visual, Bucket seat in these things isn't the original seat. You're not going to feel like, you just make it work. So it's okay, I work the clutch. So what I want to do is when I'm looking at this now on the seat, you see right here that it's maybe down a little bit in the front. But these Subaru ones have a real neat height adjuster. See how that can go? So now I have the track, I have the tilt, and these ones come with this adjuster for height and lowering. So basically what I need to do now is figure out my mounting pad, the original bracket. I could probably cut some ears, weld them to it, bolt it down. I could cut some plates, drill holes, bolt it down, set the thing on, and then tack weld it, and then take it out and remove it. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I might show you guys that, I might not. We're trying to kind of make a quick video of the seats. I think really we'd be more interested in driving the truck than showing that part.
What we're trying to do here is somebody nailed nails through so that you couldn't open the windows. But we're cutting just a section out of the shelves so we can move the seat and everything. It'll be out of the way, but we thought it would be nice to open the windows for a good breeze because obviously we're not going to have AC or anything. So nice breeze for the dogs, the people, everything.
All right. The headlight piece. Thing was missing the headlight. Got it. Oh, but you guys might have noticed up on the wall, got a 66 Chevy grill up there from a truck years ago I had. I have to get a screwdriver for it. But then we were thinking of leaving this part of the wood because, oh, I don't know, it's artsy fartsy, it's antique-y. We could stain it. It was full of rats. I mean, this thing was nasty. But it was cheap, you know, and it was close to home. So anyways, get back with you in a minute. Okay, well, John is getting the rest of that out of the back. That headlight piece we found actually inspired me to come up here and look. It looks like we have a headlight for it. Whether it's worth a darn or not. I had some extra lights here. These are the old, but I think they call them 8-inch round. I was going to test these. And I thought, well, maybe you guys are interested in testing. This one didn't go to this vehicle. You can see the cloth wiring on it. I don't think in 64 they had this cloth still. My rat rod, my wheelies had this cloth, but I think GM by then was using. Anyways, if you're not familiar with a 12-volt system, you got a ground, you got your positive, okay? There was positive ground, there was 6-volt. This was 12-volt negative ground. It's pretty standard. That's the way they've been doing it. This vehicle will be 60 years old next year. So to test this, John, you want to go plug in the battery charger at the other end? To go test this, you'll have 3 lugs. One's going to be your ground, one should be your high and your low. And then there's a bulb in there. These are a sealed beam. So if there was a crack, a chip in this, it will burn out. I believe the center one is negative. The reason I believe that is it makes logical sense to me. And it's been a while since I messed with one of these. So let's try putting the negative there. And then let's touch it. Now I've got this at 12 volts, 2 amps. So it's not very bright. So in case I screwed it up, I hopefully won't screw it up. So that was the one side. That's the one side. So now if I put it up to 40 amps, we can hit it. Still not too bright. That's a high beam. That's a low beam. Without a battery in the system, sometimes 12 volts act a little weird. Oops. Butterfingers. We get that one clipped on there. And I know people my age and older probably don't need this lesson. That's a good bright one. That's a good bright one. So out of these 2 bulbs, I think this one would be better than the Suburban. But, you know, I don't know. John, have you ever seen me test one like that before? Did you know that was a system?
A couple of years ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's 19, right? He's just learning stuff. So after having tested those, and they're both by Savannah, halogen. Oh, there you go. So you got halogen and your standard. I don't know what these cost anymore at the store. Probably $20. I don't know. But anyways, I think I'm still missing some parts. Earlier when I was running the Sawzall, I mentioned, oh, I had this other grill up there. Okay, well, the other grill has my parts in it. And that came from a 66. Even though they're the same, they're not same, they're same. I know the wiring in this truck is screwed. The rats have been in it. Like I say, it's an issue. But maybe that's why they call them rat rods. The rats live in them. And so this one, I got to take this outer ring off. So we'll take these 3 bolts out. I guess this video went from mounting seats to becoming how to install a headlight. So there's these 3 screws. Get these out of the way. Yeah, you could use power tools. I'm really kind of negative towards impact guns for assembly, and for disassembly, you probably could get away with it. But I certainly wouldn't want to use anything on this old. Now I need a slot screwdriver there off of the. So now on the outer side of this is where people get screwed up. If you can see in there, you want to get the light, John? It's right there. Put a battery in it. In behind here, there's a slot screw, and there's usually a Phillips screw. The Phillips screw, if all the stuff hasn't rusted out, will change your light position so that if it's too high, too low, too out, too in. If you've never done headlight adjustment on something like this, after you lower the car, after you're done doing all that, you get it on level ground in front of a garage door or something. Yeah, there you go. Can you see the differences?
Yeah, I can see it when I put on it. Yeah, you got a star bit and a flat bit.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to take out the flat bit, Mary, which is this slotted. And I probably won't have to take all of them out if I can slip it under, but we'll try. Anyways, once you get the headlights in and the vehicle's the way you want, you got your road heights, whatever. Yeah, I can leave that one. I'll just do this side. After you get it down, then you would have these covers off, and that Phillips bit, you'd be able to turn it with the lights on at night, and you'll see the dead center of the headlight, and then you can adjust it left, right, up, down. Now, that gets you kind of close, and then you got to take it for a drive. And if you've got one light that's shooting up into the trees, spotting owls, well, then that's no good. If you're getting a lot of people to flash your lights, then you got like too much weight in the back of the vehicle, or you've got these turned up. You'll get that like if you're towing a trailer, all of a sudden people are flashing you. I know that Toyota, maybe some of the other newer trucks, they can adjust the lights, which is real handy. But 60 years ago, this is the way you did it. Okay, so this is the one that has a spring on the side, which holds that in. So I am going to have to take this one off, because if you take that spring off, boy, oh boy, you better be ready to spend the afternoon putting it back on. All right, see what I'm saying? I got the slot one out. Oh, I can put my light in. I know this is a halogen one. The other one's a Savannah. You know what? Give me the other light, because then they'll match. They'll both be weak instead of one strong, one weak. I think this is the same, John. Is that a Savannah? What do they call these? A 2D1?
This is Suburban. Yeah.
Now, there's a guy, and I'm not going to name names, but he's the T3 lights. I would be interested to see why those are more special than these. I just have these. I don't know if they were by why one would be better than the other, but I'm sure why this truck sat in that field for 30 years, somebody came by and borrowed the light because they needed it. When you go looking for these vehicles, they talk about completeness. You got to be complete. Is the vehicle complete? A lot of people don't realize that is important when you're trying to put these together. I mean, yeah, you can get these parts. Anyways, the light is manufactured for these nuts. You got to get that indexed, and then you got to pull on that spring and get this over top so that it's all the way around. And then if you've done it right, and you don't drop all your screws, you know, hold the light right there, John. It's in the shadow. Okay, up there, up above. Okay, you see how that screw isn't lined up? The light has to stay. And then we got to get like that. Now this is where you're going to lose. This is where you're going to lose your mind and your screw. All right. Another thing is when you get one started, don't tighten it. So you still got a little bit of movement. And now this one's aligned, so we can get that one in. There it goes. Should be one more. Oh, we were already short one. Remember, we didn't take one out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
good enough.
What's that guy?
It's just enough screws.
Just enough screws. Oh my God, who has not been screwed over? Just enough. You know, it's funny Mary mentions that. When I picked that name, Just Enough, it was the idea behind it. Just enough time, talent, money, patience. You know, I don't know how about the rest of the people live, but, you know, once you've worked a 10-hour shift and you've listened to the noise and the hum of the machines and the bosses, those are spiders, in case you're not from Washington. They're dead. They've been dead for years.
Got lots of them. They're old spider nests like you find dry, like bees nests and stuff. So
anyways, Just Enough. Just Enough was the thing. And like I say, I've done a lot of cars in here and a lot of stuff. But so to say more about myself, I'm married. My wife and I have coming on 28 years of marriage in next month. These are my two younger kids. We have 4 children, 3 girls, and 1 boy. And Marianna's my 3rd daughter. And And the other two got married. Bless their hearts. They're doing fine, actually. They're enjoying life and things are working out, and they're on their own journeys. But they've all helped me over the years do cars and different things. And we don't have any videos of some of those cars because, like I say, we've watched YouTube a lot, just the videos, things like that. I don't know, maybe it's replacing TV because TV seems full propaganda and agenda, where these videos of people just living their lives seem to be like they appeal, right? You know, you can watch videos about people with animals, videos with tractors, videos with people at their job, people that are influencers. Well, if it's positive, then you're positively influenced. If you're negative, well, don't follow it, in my opinion. But anyways, we'll get back to the chairs, the seats. I got the one up here. I'm going to get some wood. We're going to prop that one up like the way it is. I got a piece of angle. We'll start cutting it and welding it. And if the video's too long, hey, you know, let me know in the comments. If you think, hey, this ain't for me, you know what? It might not be. I know that I follow and watch maybe 7 different guys. And I'm a little bit critical when new people come on because it's not the way those guys do it. And I get that, you know. At the end of the day, I thought, well, if nothing else, it motivated me. We've got a bunch of stuff cleaned up already today, and the old Chevy's starting to come around. You know, I was on the fence about painting this. Patina. Okay, there's patina, there's art, there's trash, and there's restored. And this is going to have a facet of all of those in it. I'm definitely going to come back with a paintbrush and do the Chevrolet. In fact, you can get these stickers that go on this for eBay, like $6, but I'm going to hand paint it. And then I may or may not paint the grill. I haven't decided. These things evolve, right? You're never done. Come on up here, Mary. I want to show you this. Let me move that little gas tank. We were running the engine the other day, and I'm hoping to still run it today. Right here, if you can see that. 1990, this is painted, right? And you know, that's something when the paint is all coming off, and my little pressure washer doesn't do it. I'll get one that has a little more pressure and it'll blow most of this off. But whatever Chevy was using in these era, this mint green or this emerald, whatever color that is, maybe somebody knows, that doesn't come off. Lead paint or whatever it was, man, it's good stuff. This other, you can blow most of this off. And right here, I was messing around the other day with a little paint stripper. I don't know if you can see it. I was thinking, well, maybe I could do some of that. I don't know. It's stuff like this on these rat rods, this rust. I mean, is there a hood out there that's better than this? I don't know. I mean, I don't live in Arizona or nothing. They all have the spots. I had a 63 Chev C10 one time. Oh, man, this was 91, 92. And I fixed all that. And it was a big back window. It was a custom. It was a cool truck. I had some wide mags on it and stuff. And I just never finished it, you know. And this one, I don't know how far I'll get on it, but I definitely will have it running and going. So anyways, we'll get to the seats. I got this piece of angle iron. This is an old, Makita chop saw. I kind of got a rough estimate, 2 1/4 inches. I'm going to cut these little tabs. I'm going to cut 4 of them. Then we'll go in there, place them on the seat, figure out what we're doing, drill them. I'm trying to avoid welding it straight to the floor because I would want to make it removable. Because someday, eventually, I'd like to have the right seats for it. I kind of know where another one of these is at. The guy said he'd give it to me. I called him. Oh, no, I don't know. So keeping my options open. Just trying to get it going, you know, is probably where I'm at right now. So hopefully this comes out on video. If it's too noisy, well then. guess I should mention while I'm waiting between cuts, if some of you guys are younger and you think, or gals, could be either way, or individuals of any nature, if you're thinking about, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, I know that the high schools, especially around here, have stopped shop classes for a while. Some of them offer something, but if you're not sure, I'm not going to say union's better, non-union. What I'm going to say is find somebody, a little shop, a big shop, and go in there with a good attitude that you want to learn. And there are people that are willing to train you, teach you. There's a lot of money to be made doing that kind of work. Whether you're welding, grinding, pipe fitting, maintenance, new construction. You know, like for example, reading a tape measure, right? Where I work occasionally, you know, we'll get people in there that are in their 20s and they have never been taught to read a tape measure. I'm not making this video about reading a tape measure, but if you were to look between the 3 and the 4, there's several numbers in there. Half is in the middle, half of a half is quarter, and then it goes down to 8/16. So when you start going through these, each of these little lines is a 1/16 of an inch. So you say, oh, I want to be 5/8. Well, there's a half, there's 5/8, and you get up to 3/4. Anyways, if you don't know that, take a few minutes and Google it. Practice. Do you remember, kids, when I used to cut a piece of wood or something and I'd throw it down the ground and say, now, tell me what that measurement is? And you guys would have to get out your tape measures and look at it. And anyways, I'll get the last tab cut and then we'll move over to the next one. You know, this is an interesting thing. I mean, I look online as much as the next guy, probably too much. But there seems to be a battle between these generations. Millennials, Gen Zs,
Your Gen X.
Gen Xs, baby boomers. Look, people, we're all on the same planet trying to figure it out. And if you don't know something, you got to look to the generation before you to figure it out. Whether or not that's important, whether or not they're right, you have to figure that out for yourself. But tape measuring, I mean, that's something everybody's going to use. You know, vehicles. Yeah, okay, great. Maybe we'll have electric cars someday and the Jetsons will be flying something. But generally speaking, what are you going to do today? Years ago, I knew a guy who said, what can we do? And that's what you got to start thinking about in your position in life. Where are we at? Where do we want to be? What can we do? Well, today I can mount this seat. You know, tomorrow maybe I could do the next part. But if I sit there and never get started, which is part of the motivation of the just enough that we're talking about, is just enough time today to mount the seat, just enough time for somebody to go to an online school, or just enough time to maybe take an extra shift. And they say, well, what am I going to do with that money? Make it work for you, right? There's a phrase I like to use. It's easier to save than it is to earn. And you think about that is, if I work for 10 hours, I'll have this much money. But if I avoid going out, or I avoid this, or I avoid that, I'll still have that much money. And it's just something to consider. You can say this isn't a philosophy channel. We're just working on crappy cars in the backyard. Okay, so we're now at the point where these are the original mounts for the original seats. I don't need them under there. I'm going to take them off and save them. To do that, I got this little toolkit. I bought this maybe 5 or 6, 7 years ago. It's just a Duralast. You can get those at, you know, anyways, the point is I've used this kit a lot, and it wasn't very expensive. One time I had a fuel pump that quit on a car. It was cheaper and easier just to buy a little kit, do the job, and then be on my way. But this little piece of foam, if you don't take care of that and you put that foam back, when you close it and you turn them over, all the sockets and stuff fall out. And if you've ever had one of these kits where the stuff goes everywhere, that's the big deal. I guess that's a tech tip. I put it under there. I like this because it's metric and standard on both sides. Anyways, I wanted to get this. Wouldn't you know it? 7/16. Anyways, I wanted to get these brackets off of here because if I ever do get the original seats from a parked car or something, I think a C10 pickup that folds forward seat would fit in here, because I think that when they manufactured these, the front half is the same and the back half is different, obviously. But I don't know. And so for today, I'm trying to take a 2099, 2005, I don't know what that Subaru was, but I got the seats out of and make the brackets work. Obviously, they don't bolt in. I'm not a purist, but I don't want to drill a bunch of extra holes in the floor if I don't need to. So you can see they have some holes mounted here. The back I'm going to have to do something with. These chrome pieces are where the seat belts go. That's the factory. This had some seats in it from like I don't know, a Riviera, a Buick. They look like Oldsmobile Buick. I don't know, some brown seats out of the 70s that were in here, and they were horrible, ugly. And you can see somebody's already cutting torch through here to mount those old seats. I've taken them to the dump. They were rat infested. It was gross. So now that I got that out of the way, I'm going to tap that down. And let's then get a pair of vice grips. That didn't need them. Okay, so that just goes through. Got rid of it. This roll pin was part of the 3-speed on the tree. I learned to drive a 3-speed on the tree. In fact, my dad had a 69 Ford F100, or yeah, I guess there were still 169. 3-speed overdrive, right? It had a 390 in it. It had side pipes. It was red. It was a cool truck. But at the time, this is the thing about history and stuff. At the time we were driving it, it was 20 years old. So it was like, oh, it's an old truck. It was badass. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Eventually, that 3-speed overdrive gave him troubles, and they weren't producing parts anymore. So we converted to a truck 4-speed. My older brother had it for a couple of years, and then it went down the road. So, anyways, I learned to drive on a 3-speed, and I was trying to keep this 3-speed for the kids to drive on. But all the stuff inside was squirrely and it was screwed up. And this 5-speed I'd pulled out of an S10 7-8 years ago. I bought the whole truck for $100. The engine was bad. Pulled the transmission. Took the body to the scrapper. I think at the time I got like probably $80 for it. I watched a guy in Canada do a YouTube video on how to convert these. You got to change the front nose. I kind of got it working. I think the clutch I have in there is no good because I was reusing parts because we're kind of on a budget for this guy. And rat rods, you got to kind of keep it all the same. You don't want to, yeah, I'm probably going to have to put a new clutch in it. I get that. I have the drive line shortened, whatever. So I've never driven it, and I don't actually know if it works or not. But hopefully it works just enough to get what we're going. Anyways, we took that part off. I've saved the pieces, but I don't think we'll ever go back to 3-speed. I would like to drive this one more on the highway and stuff. So anyways, once we got that in, I'm going to actually stop right quick, drill some holes in these for a mounting point. We'll flip the seat over. We might have to cut this off so that will go right up against like that. So we're going to do some modification. Once I get the front mounted, on the back, these Subarus had a big loop and some different crap there. I might have to drill a hole. It's important if you ever mount a seat to these thin floor pans that you put some plating underneath of it and you make a sandwich. If you just put like a washer under there, these ones they come that way. You see, these were the factory seat mounts, but back in here you can see there's some more. But over here, because it would have had a bench seat originally and part of it folded forward, back over here, I won't have that option, so I will want to sandwich it being rusty and all. So give me a second. I'll be right back with you. All right, let's see how it fits now for me. Make it permanent. Well, the tack broke a little bit, but we got it in there. We got it kind of where we want. When you eyeball it, it looks pretty centered with the wheel. Looks pretty centered. So what I'm going to do is get that first one permanent and then build the other three off of that. It's going to be a little bit in and out, back and forth, up and down. Hokey pokey, turn yourself around. I am going to have to drill a hole in the tub here. Yeah, it's all right. You know, they're all going to be a little different. They're going to be special in their own kind of special way. So this one, I was able to use the angle to my advantage and get it stepped up, but I also broke the weld. This one here, I'm going to cut it off the same way. Essentially do the same thing. It's 4.5 roughly. Yeah, it was dying to do it my way. Luck. I think I am going to want to test this because now that I'm looking at it, I don't trust myself. Does it look good in there? Do I look like I know what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually hot. Actually feels all right too.
The sunshine.
Well, I got a little bit of welding to do, drill a couple of holes. I think we're going to end the video here just because, well, it's a seat. Come on. Before we do, I might just go ahead and start this 283 up for you guys. I got a temporary fuel system. None of the wiring is connected, but I got a jumper wire on it. And if the camera picks it up, you'll see what it sounds like with no exhaust at all, just the header manifolds. So I thought I'd end the video by running this because, frankly, I'm a little bit tired working on it already. It takes a while to make a video. If you haven't done it, do it. So back to this 283. I've actually had this engine for quite a while. It came from that green Jeep. I know it has oil because I put a new filter and oil on it a couple of weeks ago. So you guys can see I've run it for a few minutes. It's cold now, but I put a new master cylinder on it, new brakes. I don't have the fuel system figured out yet because the tank on the bottom is smashed, and I don't know, you guys looked at tanks recently for Suburbans, but they're hard to find, and then they're expensive, and I don't know, I might go to the junkyard and just pick one. Anyways, I've got water in it, straight water. It's summertime, I don't want to put the coolant in yet. So I just got this rigged up. This intake manifold and carburetor is mid-60s 327 stuff. So just got a wire going to it. Let's see how it runs here. Thirsty old girl, isn't she? Make some noise now. Well, maybe I flooded it. Or this has rain in it. Look, you can see the fuel in there. This thing's been outside. You got us on that one. Let me all right, give me a second. Let's see if that'll come through. Maybe it'll start feeding itself. Okay, so this is the next day. We got tuckered out last night, but we've installed the seats. They're in. We're gonna go ahead and run it now. I know the clutch has some issues. I think the throwout bearing, when I put it all together, was a used one, so I'll have to deal with that. But we're gonna go ahead and start it and take it on out of the driveway. And that'll probably be the end for sure of this video, because I definitely want to get out the other vehicle since it's summertime. And anyways, we'll get back with you guys, and maybe, I guess we're doing every Wednesday. We're going to try to put out a video every other Wednesday to start with. If we get good response, we'll probably go to every week, but right now we're just going to do every other week. So look for these to drop on Wednesday morning probably. Check the description. Anyways, there should be some contact information in there as well, and thanks for watching. Pump the gas.